Hi again. Matthew, you have audio. I'm gonna mute you. This article, of course, is taken out of a Danish context, but I think that the issues are the same. What did you extract from this? Open question, then of course you can answer using mics if you want. Question is, what causes the defects that we are actually observing or actually can see? Is it because people are stupid, or is it because the task is not described enough, or what causes these defects? Materials, you write, Harry. What do you mean by materials? Are the materials poor? But who? I have to say, inadequate building materials. But the contractors, are they allowed to use any material that they want, or is it described, do you think? Just to make it clear, in these building or not case, but work specifications, we are actually describing the materials that should be used. So the contractors do not have any choice. Antoine, you write, there are some challenges as time, cost, and technique that increase the probability of defects. Yes, again, I will say the most challenging thing here is probably the time, because unfortunately we are too optimistic in the estimation of the time. So quite many things happen due to time, and also to the quality that we need to ask the contractors to do. We as consultants are not very good to define the tender control plan, as we call it in our terms. And tender control plan is what the contractors as a minimum, and also the manufacturers, should check as a minimum. I'll just continue here. It is essential, as it says here, for the project that drawings, documents, and specifications, they are synchronized. I'm giving you an example here, because it might be that you have an idea of a layer cake, as I think it's called, and it should have various colors. This is just a sketch. And as you can see, we have 3 layers and probably some icing. And then we have the written documents. This could be the ingredients. But the ingredients actually just tell us what to do. They do not tell us how to do it. And this is probably more like an agenda of how to make the cake. I forgot to put in the link, but if the expectations is like this, then you can see it's probably a bit complicated to separate the various layers, and you have to put the icing, and you have to do a certain amount of things to make it look like it. But if this is the expectations from the client and the designer, we have quite many things to describe. But this is actually what goes on, because the client actually thinks this is how the building is going to look, in figuratively speaking, right? But they have some expectations of what it should look like. And then we can just have like 3 clicks on the internet, say building component or building construction failures. It won't take us long to find something that looks horrible. So we have to be very good and in defining what is it that we expect. We have in our line some general conditions that I think Carsten, your law teacher, is going to talk to you about. We have description of services for building and landscape, and then we have what we call this BIPS 813 description. This is the responsibilities of what you should do when you are actually trading or sending your material. We are using, this tender material model 5, and we are actually telling what you are responsible of, or it tells us what you're responsible of, and tell your co-workers what you're responsible of. In general, you can say we are responsible of the consultant to this dotted line here, and then the manufacturers are responsible of this part here, and then the mounting contractor is responsible of this one. And to the ones who have looked very close into this in beforehand, they are also observing that connection details is a part of what the manufacturer should do. However, we should be able, when we are sending the material to the contractors, our pretend contractors in Aarhus, that this can be done. And that is why we are asking you to do connection details. Then they may come up with alternative solutions, and we should actually be embracing these and say, okay, is it possible to do it this way as well? And then we should have a positive mindset, so we can actually change, or they can actually change our connection details to their production, so to say. We do not have the answer, the 100% answer to this. And this is probably what's going to trouble you the most, these connection details, but you still have to solve them. Up here, you can say that this is what you're responsible of: the project basis, the summary drawings, the structural calculations, the summary drawings, the constructions, again, electricity, which we do not focus very much on. And then we have plan for recesses and rebates and holes. That means that you have to make actually explode your element or building, pretending that you're putting a hand grenade into the building, and then the walls are flopping out, and then you can actually see the elements from the inside, actually saying where are the holes and rebates, the recesses as well, by measure. And then we have to have a very big focus on what we call the work specifications, and then building component specifications as well. This up here is what you're responsible of, and you also should be having specifying the risk of the mounting, the project basis of the element, and the requirements for the building details, connections again, which can be done and again. But I'll come more into this later. After this lecture, there'll be a consultation with your various groups, so we can actually have a talk to you, or I can have a talk with you about this. And this is, we have decided with Aarhus, and this is the BIPS 813 Model 5 that we'll be using for this semester. And of course, the tender material informs interest contractors and the manufacturers of which model we'll be using according to this BIPS 813. When it comes to this, we have all contracts here. They will consist of a tender letter, construction time schedule, as you have to do as well, drawing and documents list, main drawings, plan for health and safety. I'm not sure we're going to manage it this semester, but you should definitely have a look at it, and then we should work with what we call a case specification and a work specification. But this is what a tender in documents looks like. Here, for instance, we have the soil and sewage. Remember, or please note, it says relevant drawings, overview drawings, building component drawings, details, and then we have what is new to this semester, work specifications. And then we also should do a bid list. Again, the bricklayer, the same situation, same scenario, the carpenter, the plumber, the electrician, the painter, and then we are focusing on the manufacturer and the mounting contractor. Please note that we will be sending our material to the mounting contractor. As I showed before, so this is the business partner of the municipality. This is what we call the tender material. And again, this is just an example. There are many different ways to do this. But since we are in the school situation, we have limited the semester work. Otherwise, you'll be actually doing all the various trades. So we are only focusing on the mounting contractor and the manufacturer, and that is only for the facade elements. Here I have written concrete facade. Of course, it could also say wooden facade elements. So that's the same, but we'll give you that information a little later. Tender material here is what we're dealing with this. So try to figure out what this is about. Have a coffee, a snack, and think about how you and your group will solve this. We'll meet again after the break, but I'll just sum this up, and I think that we should talk to each other 10 to 10, 9:50, so we can just figure out what this is. I'll just shut off my computer, not computer, but my sound, and then you should have to talk individually or in a group in this scenario here and say, what is it that we have to do? So you can actually try to sum it up. I would like to hear your words afterwards, 10 to 10. Restricted tender, meaning that the client and we Yellow Line Architects have agreed on or found out based on the experience of who is having experience doing mounting of these elements, either concrete or wood. It's a limited amount of companies who are doing this, so they are all well known to us. And of course, we need to have some kind of idea if they're interested or they are too busy. Typically, you'll just pick up the phone and say, hey guys, are you interested in having this? And every contractor in this kind of business would always be interested in actually figuring out whether they can carry that job. Then they when they receive the material, can say, no, it's too complicated, or no, it's too far away, or no, we are full. Assignments. Coughing, Pietro, you shut off your mic. And then they can actually do that. And if I go back to this up here, this actually tries to explain this. Well, we are now the consultant up here. We are.
I cannot see the screen with.
You can't see the screen. No, I'll just do that again. Present my screen. Present desktop. Okay. Hopefully you can see it now. If I take this slide, we are advising our client. We are Yellow Line Architects over here. We are looking for a mounting contractor. The reason why I have mentioned 3 here is that we have to have a competition. Because our client is a public client, meaning the municipality. So that is official money. So we have to have a competition between these mounting contractors over here. They will then send, and it's just a coincidence that I have actually shown 3 manufacturers, because the amount of manufacturers of either wooden components or concrete elements are limited as well. But they will probably crisscross and ask all of 3 of them, and that one will do the same, ask all 3 of them, and they of course will come up with their mounting price. Is it you again, Pietro? No? Who has received the price over here. They will then send, as the red arrow indicates, the prices to the mounting contractor. And the mounting contractor will send the prices to the client, where we are representing him, and then they will come up with the price. Then we will choose the lowest price.
Oh, sure.
But why is that? Because normally, as I think I mentioned before, if I compare to cola, I am very fond of Coca-Cola Zero, I have to say. And I actually do not think that the little cola's Freeway, what is it called, tastes very good. But the Freeway is cheaper. But who defines the quality of the work that needs to be done?
Wait.
What you do in the written documents and in the drawings. So the tender letter, as I think the question is about, is just an invitation for this one, an invitation to the mounting contractors saying, hey guys, are you interested? The information of this tender letter is telling about what is the contract about, where does it take place, and when does it take place. And then if they commit, or actually not commit, but they show interest, submit an interest, we will send them all the material, the tender project, so they can distribute it to the manufacturers. We, as the client and the consultant, do not actually connect with these guys. The contract is between the client and the mounting contractor. And then there will be a contract between the mounting contractor and the manufacturer. What I think confuses you is that we actually only need one. Right?
True. Yeah, that's true.
We need one mounting contract and one manufacturer. But how this guy is finding out whether it should be the lower, the middle, or the top manufacturer is up to him to decide.
Yeah, well, he already has somebody he uses, doesn't he?
Could be he has something he already uses, Nikolai, yes? But again, not having a competition would be stupid. The reason why we have to do it this way when we're talking about public money is because the municipality cannot favorize anyone.
Yeah. Do they have, are the tenders open to the entire European Union then? Or are they just open for Danish contractors?
You can say it's over 45 million Danish kroner. It is supposed to be open to the European Union.
Okay. So we're not at that threshold.
Nope.
Cool.
Mhm. And then what is new to you is in this semester written documents.
Yeah, what is this?
This is, you have to do what we call a case specification. One case specification that addresses all the contractors and then work specifications. I'll tell you more about this later this week, and I just have to figure out when this should be, but it could be tomorrow or Thursday. And the work specification and case specification is what is new to you this semester. You should imagine that this building component log that most of you have probably done is translated into written documents. And the reason why we do it in written documents is due to the legislation. Because if it turns out that we have some disagreements and it ends up in a court of law, then we have a very nice judge who understands the law. He does not understand the visual drawings, but he certainly understands the written documents. And that is why these specifications are so extremely important.
Mm-hmm. So we just write a explanation. We connect this with this using this.
So
and this.
actually what you're showing in your drawings, has to be transformed into written language.
Oh, that's nice.
In this, and then you have to do two work specifications, one for the mounting and one for the manufacturing, even though that we do not have anything to do with the manufacturer, but we have something to do with the contract is entered between the client and the mounting contractor. And then the mounting contractor enters an agreement with the manufacturer. But we actually do not have any correspondence with the manufacturer, as the red guys over here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, you have to do what we call some bid lists, as mentioned down here.
I have a question.
Yes, Anna? Sorry?
You just said it's like we have to do two work specification, one for contractor and one for manufacturer, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so for the manufacturer should be written one, and for the contractor with drawings, or I'm wrong?
If you are entering a contract or you're looking for a mounting contractor with everything that it involves, that will be drawings, specifications, the whole charade, right?
Okay.
Then the mounting contract passes on this information to the manufacturer.
Okay, he sends all these to the manufacturer. Okay.
And it says here, what it says, tender material consists of a tender letter, construction time schedule, drawing and document list, main drawings, plan for health and safety, and as I said, I'm not sure we're going to manage this semester, but we'll try, and then case specification and work specifications, and then I forgot something called bid lists.
Okay, so all those things, it would be sent to the manufacturer?
Primarily to the mounting contractor.
Okay.
If I go to the first slide, you see that you'll be acting here as Yellow Line Architects, finishing this until after Easter, and then try to look here. Then you will turn into the mounting contractor, because at the same time, when you are uploading your material, you will be receiving from Aarhus another project. A different project, not yours.
Okay, so it's like, first of all, we act as a consultant, but then we will be also contractors.
Yes. And after that, you'll turn into being the manufacturer, where you'll be focusing on finding out what it actually implies to do one element.
So we have to play all roles of the...
Yes.
Okay.
And that is why I hope you noted that I said yellow line architects over here, the yellow cap. You have to figure out which cap are you wearing.
Now we are yellow, still yellow.
You are still yellow, and we are focusing here, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And then the next 2-3 weeks, you'll be acting as yellow line architect still and preparing this tender material for the procurement, as we call it. And then I'm going to show you how we actually going to manage that. We're going to use a program called iBinder, where we are going to upload your stuff. But more about that later. I think if there are last questions, otherwise I'll turn into being consultant after this short break that we're going to have, starting with, I think that is group number 1, right?
I think so, yeah.
So 10:15, I'll return to group 1. Okay?
Okay.
And then we have I have a 50 minutes talk with all the groups individually. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
See you around, guys.
Bye.
See you later, guys.
Bye. Thank you,
Thank
Anna.
you.